If you live in the city of Boston, you may have noticed or heard of several changes. For example, a new letter grading system for restaurants, new housing infrastructures, and Mayor Marty Walsh's recent announcement to change the gender wage gap in Boston. It's the first attempt in the country by a major city. These initiatives are all part of Mayor Walsh's vision to service residents and strengthen Boston's economic status. And it's up to Chief of Economic Development John Barros to make these ideas into a reality. Mayor Walsh and Chief Barros are working with Boston residents to help them prosper within an ever-changing city. What's the economic status of Boston today? What are some ways for you to improve your financial growth, your equity, and help others? Chief Barros is with us today. He will answer those questions for you in a moment, plus more, including 2 new initiatives, a citywide small business plan, and an updated ordinance of the Boston Residents' Job Policy. But first, you should know that Mayor Walsh appointed John Barros Chief of Economic Development in 2014. Before his appointment, John was the executive director of the Dudley Street Neighborhood Initiative for 13 years. He led a successful neighborhood revitalization effort in the largest urban community land trust in the country, which was founded as a community wealth creation strategy, including permanent affordable housing. Chief Barros, such a pleasure. Thank
Likewise.
you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Such a busy gentleman.
It's good to see you
Running
again.
Boston. Yes,
Yeah,
good to see
yeah.
you again.
Things
It's
are
always good to see you.
Boston's busy, but it's a good thing.
Yes. Let's start out. I want to talk to you about, you have a background in economics. That's what you studied at when you attended college. So you're pretty familiar with money and how it moves around. What is your role as Chief of Economic Development and your responsibility to uphold Boston's economy?
Sure, yeah. So when Mayor Walsh decided to create a cabinet for economic development, he did it and we had a conversation. And he said, look, John, our responsibilities are twofold. One is we need to make sure that the city of Boston continues to have a strong economy and grow. Second, we need to make sure that everybody participates in that economy, that everybody prospers from the growth of our economy. So that's what we've been focusing on as a cabinet, making sure that the city policies, regulations, processes are helpful to the growth of our economy, and then making sure that we're stepping in with initiatives and programs to give a chance to all residents, give a chance to all businesses to take advantage of the growth of our economy.
Okay, so right now, how does this stand? We have a new person in office, Donald Trump. How does that affect Boston? What can we expect? What's the economic status of Boston today, and what can we look forward to in the next year or two?
That's a great question. So Boston's been growing rapidly. Boston's economy is doing really well. We grew 5.3% between 2013 and 2014. We continue to grow in our gross city product measures. Donald Trump and the policies of the federal government impact Boston. But what's more impactful for Boston is our local partnerships. What's more impactful for Boston is our relationship to the state government. What's more impactful for Boston is making sure that our small businesses are doing well, making sure that our large businesses are participating, that we have the kind of local regional partnerships that we can leverage to continue to grow and make sure everybody participates. So the mayor has been clear. We're going to protect Boston, protect Boston's values, protect Boston's residents. And so if there's federal policy that doesn't help move the city forward and make sure everybody participates, we're just not going to abide by it. We're going to make sure that Bostonians do well in these next 4 years.
Okay. And one way that you're doing that is that you just had an updated of an ordinance of the Boston Residents' Job Policy. Can you talk to us about that? And how, this hasn't been updated since 1983, is that correct?
That's right, you're right. 1983 was the first time that the city passed the ordinance. Boston Residents' Job Policy, or as it's known, BRJP, is an ordinance that provides goals and guidance for the participation of Boston residents on our construction projects all around the city. And so since 1983, those goals have said that, 10% of women 25% of minorities and 50% of Boston residents will participate on every job that goes through a public process or has public subsidies. And so the city's changed. The demographics have changed. There are more women in the trade unions. There are more minorities in the city. In fact, the city is 54% minority. And so we wanted to update those numbers and those goals. So we've updated those numbers. We wanted to make a statement with the resident numbers. It's at now 51%. So 51%, a majority of Boston residents will participate on all construction projects. We wanted to update the minority number from 25% to 40%. It's as we move towards being more representative of our city on all the projects, the mayor wanted to make a statement. And then lastly, the women numbers from 10% to 12%. And let me tell you, those are the hardest numbers, the women goals, to hit in trade. And I think you know this, right? So let me just jump before you said it.
You know I was.
But the 12% is saying, even though it's been hard to hit the 10%, that we can't stay back, right? We're not going to keep it at 10%. We need to make a statement. It's at 12%, and now we need to make headway by working with unions and construction companies and trade programs and all to make sure that women actually are becoming part of the labor force and can be part of these projects.
What is the stumbling block?
Yeah, big stumbling block is, I think, it's the pre-apprenticeship, it's the, first getting women interested, right? And then
they're less interested?
I think women don't think that this is an opportunity, right? I think we've got to go out there and do some recruitment to say, no, this is an opportunity. This is a male-dominated workforce. It's male-dominated for years. And so how do I go to a young woman and say, have you thought about this as an opportunity? And then if you have, let me give you some opportunities for pre-apprenticeships in a way that gets you on the journey to then join a trade. So we were successful as a city. Mayor Walsh was successful in getting $3 million from the federal government to strengthen our apprenticeship programs here.
Okay.
And so we're going to be working with our residents to make sure that more women, in fact, more minorities are part of our pre-apprenticeship. Yeah, finding them mentors, giving them the kind of training and workshops that they need to move on.
And there's initiative, We Boss?
We Boss.
Yeah.
We Boss, Women Entrepreneurship Program in Boston, that's right. And so it's catered to women. It's making sure that our women know the kind of opportunities that are out there, that they're connected to the right mentors, that they have the kinds of exposure to VCs or venture capitalists, people who have money, that they have the kind of technical assistance that they need to be successful entrepreneurs.
How do you sit down and you figure out these numbers, the 51%, the 40%, the 12%?
Sure.
And do you meet with residents? I'm sure you have conversations with the mayor and other people. What's the process?
We had, in fact, I want to give credit. I really appreciate you asked that question. I want to give credit to some residents that have been working with us on the BRJP. And so the residents that make up the coalition, the Boston Jobs Coalition, have been sitting with us almost on a bi-weekly basis, right? But have done a lot of work, have done a lot of research, looking at the percentages, looking at who's on jobs, who's not on jobs, and how we can be better at making sure more of our residents are participating in the economy. They helped us through this. So we sat with them for a very long time. We then sat with small business owners that are either in the trades or part of these projects. We sat with some of the construction management firms that we have in the city. The mayor had a conversation with the trades. We had a conversation with the trades. I'd have to say Brian Doherty has been amazing to work with from a trades leadership standpoint. There were conversations at all of those tables that got us to a point where we said, this feels like it's the right percentage, and it also feels like we're set up for success.
What was maybe one or two things that stood out that a resident said to make you implement some of these actions?
Well, they said, I think the story that rings true when you sit down with residents is I walked by that job site, and I would love to be working on that project that's right down the street from my home. How do I get on it? It's not clear. I don't know if I have a shot, right? But the people who were working on it, I saw license plates from other places, other states. I saw folks not from our neighborhood working on it. Can we have an opportunity? Those are the kinds of stories. Those are the kinds of things people say. And The mayor is sympathetic to that story. He wants to make sure Boston residents can work on jobs that are in Boston's neighborhoods. He wants to make sure that Boston's residents can work on jobs in all neighborhoods, downtown and all the other neighborhoods. And BRJP is an important policy.
Excellent. How do small businesses affect the economy here in the city of Boston?
Yeah, small businesses are the backbone of our economy in the city. Small businesses represent $15 billion of our economy. And there's about 40,000 small businesses in the city of Boston. 33% of them are women-owned small businesses. Another 30+% are minority-owned small businesses. They are the job engine of our economy, both in terms of growth and in terms of sheer number. And so the small businesses have to be paid attention to. That's why I was proud when the mayor published the first citywide small business plan that looked at a set of questions and asked small businesses and small business service providers, including banks, what were the challenges for small businesses and what was happening in Boston and how we can improve them. That report was published in February, and we're really excited to be moving and making some headway in response to some of the recommendations that came out of that report. Small businesses said to us, we could use some assistance, we can use some technical assistance, and please help us figure out some things.
Skills training,
Skills training, financial literacy, et cetera. And then they said we can use some more access to capital, right, to money. And so we've been trying to connect them to people and institutions and banks and such. And then they said to us, and we can also use some assistance in real estate, right? Because it's getting expensive out there. And some of us are, you know, our landlords are increasing real estate rent for us, and it's moving us. How do you help? And so part of the response to that has been the mayor, right after the announcement of the small business plan, said, I want all of the business development offices in Boston to be in one place, because there were 3 or 4 small business groups throughout the city in different departments. And so we've now consolidated all of those groups under economic development. It's one team. We're all working to make sure that we're all available to small businesses when they need the city. And that's been really important.
Where I know there's specific programs that are for women. I think you touched on a couple of them. You also support immigrants, correct? And could you tell us about that?
Sure. So we support, the Small Business Office, or the Office of Economic Development, supports all businesses. But we recognize a need, given some of the stats, to support women-owned businesses. There's no question about it. Women-owned businesses only account for, I think, 1% of all the venture capitalist money in the city of Boston. That's sad that women-owned businesses only attract 1% of it. So those are the kinds of, we got to get that up, right? So those are the kinds of stats, right, that we have to attack, that we've got to change in our city. Minority businesses, same thing, right? So minority-owned businesses don't have the headway. Veteran-owned businesses, immigrant-owned businesses. Those are the businesses that we focus on to make sure that Boston is a vibrant city and that everybody can participate. And so we've recently established a certificate program. So we certify veteran-owned businesses.
Oh, yes, yes.
So that's really exciting to make sure that we're saying, A, we value you. We want to know how many of you are out there in terms of veteran-owned businesses. We want to hear from you. We want to have a relationship, and we want to make sure that you can get some opportunities to do business in Boston.
How can people connect with your office? Where can they go, especially to help the women? Is there website information that you'd like to give at this moment?
You are a woman-owned business, if you are a minority-owned business, a veteran-owned business, a disabled business owner, then you want to contact the City of Boston, the Office of Economic Development. Go to the city's website, cityofboston.gov, and find economic development. And under economic development, you'll have all of our information. You can contact us by email, by phone. You can visit and pay attention to us on social media. We have a Facebook account, we've got a Twitter account, and we're even on Instagram to make sure that we're visible out there. And we'd love to help you be a successful business owner in Boston.
In what ways do you outreach to women or minorities or anybody for the services and programs that you offer?
So we have stepped up the outreach. I'll give you an example. We are launching on Thursday, January 31st at the Copy Library a series of workshops. And in fact, that one I think is oversubscribed, so no more opportunities.
Oh, really?
So we've added more workshops.
Oh, that's
People
great.
have really come out for these workshops. These are programs and services we were offering as a city anyways, but you'd have to come and ask us for. We're going to bring them out. So we brought them out.
What's the workshop?
So the
What do they
workshop
include?
they include financial literacy. The workshops include business development and growth planning.
Oh, nice.
They include business management. They include in-depth business operations and how you're operating a business and invoicing, from everything from invoicing to inventory and stock. They include human resources and contracts. You know, what are the kinds of policies you need to have in place as a small business to be successful? They also include you understanding your customer experience and marketing. And in fact, whenever we have engaged businesses in Boston, we get really positive results with this technical assistance. We've assisted over 2,500 businesses throughout the city of Boston. And let me give you some stats.
Yeah,
Over
sure.
80% of the businesses we've worked with have showed an increase in revenues. So they've made more money after we've worked with them. 46%
Wow.
reported new customers. 69% reported increase in confidence as business owners. And you know, out of these businesses that we worked, 65% have been minority-owned businesses, 50% women-owned businesses, another 55% owned by immigrants. So we're really penetrating that market of small business owners and having some impact. So if you are a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, veteran-owned business, reach out to the city of Boston and come to one of our workshops.
So you talked about small business jobs, businesses, and how it's important in the city of Boston. But I want to discuss about manufacturing jobs and bringing that back into the city of Boston. The mayor just recently did the State of the City address, and he talked about that. I want to watch a clip, but I want to come back and we're going to discuss what we just saw. Okay?
Great.
Our goal is more than new logos in the skyline. It's good jobs and job training for all. Employers are coming, and they are growing, and they are hiring. We're going to make the Fairmont line a jobs corridor with affordable housing through the heart of our city, from Newmarket to Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Hyde Park, and Reedville. People talk about bringing back manufacturing. We're doing it, and we're doing it the right way, with the jobs of the future and the preparation our young people need to build it.
So the mayor talked about bringing manufacturing jobs back to Boston. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. So, you know, as the mayor said, some people are talking about bringing manufacturing jobs back. We're actually doing it. Right? Boston has become a real sort of leader, and we've got a robust new cluster in the Marine Industrial Park by the waterfront, where we have a set of new manufacturing jobs coming to Boston, new and 21st century manufacturing jobs. So our challenge is making sure that we're training residents and we are providing the on-ramp onto these new jobs. Boston, like other cities, have always used the ports for our economic growth. And so we'll continue to use the ports, but now we're using the ports as a way to bring back manufacturing jobs. And we're really excited about that.
I don't know if you know the numbers on it, but how many jobs will that open for people, for the residents here?
Yeah, it's a great question. Since the mayor took office in the last 3 years, we've been able to add another 60,000 jobs to Boston. That's 20,000 jobs a year. And manufacturing jobs are not the leading job producers in Boston. In fact, professional services, and particularly in the healthcare industry, is what's really growing
big.
in Boston. It's
Yeah.
huge. But manufacturing jobs, I think, make up about somewhere over 10% of the jobs in Boston.
Okay.
And if we can continue to make sure we're focusing on those jobs, we make sure that Boston has a diverse economy that everybody can participate in.
Excellent. This is all great information. I'm so glad you came in today.
Yeah, thanks for
I
having me.
really am. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Barros. If you would like more information on how to become a small business owner or would like additional information about the services we discussed today, visit boston.gov/ECONDEV or give the office a call at 617-635-5729. And as always, thanks for watching The Commissioner's Corner. I'm Najya Mawasi.